Hi everyone and welcome back to this edition of KWC Kopi with Chris. My name is Chris Hansen and today in the studio I've got with me one of Singapore's most prolific national marathoners and two-time SEA Games marathon gold medalist, Soh Rui Yong. Hi Rui Yong and welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. How are you today?
Hi Chris, thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, my pleasure, mate. It is usually a common practice in this show when I have my kopi kaki. You're my kopi kaki today. How's the coffee? Is that coffee?
Tea, actually.
Oh, okay. So you don't do coffee, eh? Is there any reason?
I do coffee before my harder workouts. So like yesterday I had a hard workout, I have coffee, but I try not to take it every day so that when I need it.
Pre-workout kind of thing.
Yeah.
Same lah. Nothing like kopi o kosong, gao before you start working out. Anyway, it's a very commonplace thing for all my kopi kakis, as I was saying earlier, for them to take over the mic and look into the camera, that one down there, and just tell everyone who, in your mind, is Soh Rui Yong.
In my mind.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, I've never actually had to answer that question before. I need to think about that. I would think that, well, first and foremost, people identify with Rui Yong as a runner, and a runner who has hopefully represented Singapore well and achieved good results, but has also done things the right way and stood for what's right. I hope that that's what people see.
Okay.
Yeah, but I guess there are different perspectives to everything, so that does not speak for everybody here.
Okay. Actually, it's kind of fun that you said that because when we got to do research on you, my goodness, you're colorful. yeah, so colorful. And we were wondering how are we going to start the show with this guy until we did some research and we went, oh, wow.
So now it's where do you start? Because there are too many places to start.
I know where to start because I'm going to go for the juicy bit later on.
Okay.
Okay? That's fair, huh? So let's start with something really, really easy. Let's start to the time when you were a kid. Which school did you go to? Let's start with primary school.
Primary school, I attended Mahabodhi school. It's a Buddhist school in
Mahabodhi.
Yeah, in the east. But I was only there for 8 months of primary 1 from what I remember, and then my dad got posted to. He was in the Air Force, so he got posted to the United States.
Okay.
This small town in the United States called Clovis, New Mexico. Nothing much apart from the air base, but I attended elementary school there. So actually, when I went there, I was 7, but I was studying with the 9 and 10-year-olds because our academic system is just so fast-paced compared to the American public education system that
Basically, we're smarter lah.
We're pushed harder lah. I'm not sure. Smart in many ways to define smart, right? But academically, yes, I would say that we're a bit more robust in terms of the system. Yeah.
Okay, so you left Singapore at primary 1 after 8 months in Mahabodhi. You went over to New Mexico.
Yes.
And you did elementary school there for how long?
I think it was about 2 to 2.5 years. I came back just before the new year. And then when the new year started, I was in primary 4. So which year was that?
Gosh. 7 to 10, basically.
2002? Yeah, that's primary 5. Okay, so I came back on in December 2000, and then 2001 I attended primary 4 here in Singapore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which you went back to the same primary school?
Yes, yeah. Luckily they kept a spot for me, yeah.
And you joined the same cohort that you were with at P1?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be stupid here. New Mexico, man.
Yeah.
Near Area 51 and all that kind of stuff, huh?
As a kid, you don't really pay attention to all these things, right?
UFOs you spotted flying around.
Area 51 was just like an arcade game, back in the day. I don't know whether you went to arcades back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
There was Area 51 was this shooter game.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you look it up and then it's actually in New Mexico. Yeah, Area 51.
Okay, so you came back to Mahabodhi. Then you continued your primary school education.
Yeah.
I mean, let's really find out how did it all begin. You and the sport. Did it begin then in primary school?
In primary school, I actually had no idea, but I was gonna take sports that seriously growing up. But I would say that can't remember much of primary one in regards to sports. But when I was in the US, I remember I played a lot of basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I hesitate to say I was good, but among the kids I was playing with, I remember that very often the teams I was playing on, they would have lesser players because they were like, oh, Rui Yong runs too much, so the team he's playing against needs to have like more man advantage. Yeah, so I distinctly remember playing against like more like my team will have maybe like 2 and the other team will have like 4 or 5. You know, and we were playing basketball.
Because of you.
Back then, I guess I was like actively running a lot more than the kids my age.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe it was I was blessed with a bit more physical endurance. Maybe I was just a kid with too much energy. I don't know how you want to look at it, but I remember playing quite a lot of basketball and running around quite a lot. But
Okay.
never and then like there was always this like physical. The mile run, they call it a mile. A mile is
Okay.
like 1.6
Yeah.
1 kilometers.
Yeah.
And I was running with the guys who were a bit older, but I was always, in the top 10 or top 5.
Even then, at that young age.
Yeah, in my school at least, yeah.
Yeah, in the US.
Yeah, but you don't think too much of it. It's like you're running in jeans. Because you go to school there's no uniform, in public schools. You just go there and you just run in whatever attire you're in. It's not like you bring a special set of clothes just to do the.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I remember just kind of anyhow just go and run. Didn't think too much of it. When I came back in primary like 4, I remember my mom wanted me to there was sports day, inter-house competition. But I got sick before sports day, so I actually didn't attend sports day when I was in primary 4. But primary 5, when I attended sports day, I won like the 800 meters, which was the longest event on the track for the primary 5 kids.
Yeah.
And then in primary 6, I won the 1500 meters, the 1500 meters. So
Yes.
I think from there, I could see that I had probably some potential in the track races. But I really hated running track then because you're so nervous, like reporting for the race, you're so nervous and your heart rate is just like so high all the way until you start the race. Yeah.
What the fuck? I mean, isn't that the same thing for a marathon?
I think I guess the more you do it, the more like
You
now.
have the start point as well. You need to report at the start point as well, isn't it, for marathons?
Yeah.
Same thing for going for track competitions.
Yeah, so
Isn't it?
Yeah, I guess now I'm not nervous because I've done so many years of it. So when I report to the start line, you've been through it so many times that you don't really like.
Okay, so you say back then as a kid you were nervous about reporting to the start lines and all that.
Yeah.
So at P5 you started competing for school, inter-house, right? House games.
Yes, and I believe I was selected to represent my school in the national schools competition. I got knocked out in the heats. Wasn't very impressive in primary 5. Primary 6, on the other hand, I made the final, and then I placed 8th in Singapore. Basically, you're the 8th best
For the school
1,005
nationals.
1,005 runner in Singapore.
Right.
Among the primary 6 kids. Yeah.
Okay, then after that you had your PSLE and you went into secondary school in Singapore.
Yes.
Okay, which school did you go to?
I attended Hwa Chong for 2 years. And then I transferred and went to Raffles for year 3 and 4.
How come?
Yeah. A lot of it was down to not agreeing with what the coach was doing. Because our coach, when I was in primary 1 and 2, his name was Ramachan.
Okay.
Yeah. Ramachan actually, for many years, was recognized as the Singapore national record holder in the marathon by our association until I broke his record 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The issue was that I believe many people will agree with this. He was training the kids, like 13 to 16-year-old kids, like he would train a professional marathon runner.
Hang on a second. You said earlier primary 1, primary 2. No.
Did I say primary 1 and 2?
Yeah, you did. Or did you mean secondary 1, secondary 2?
I probably meant secondary 1 and 2.
All right,
yeah.
right. Okay, now we got that one cleared out.
Yeah.
And out. So you broke his record 2 years ago and you felt that he was treating the kids...
He was training the kids so you have all these developmental stages, right? So when you're 13 or 14 years old, you wouldn't give a kid training that a professional marathon runner at the age of 25 or 26 years old would do. It's
Yeah.
you lift weights in the gym.
Yeah.
13, 14-year-olds shouldn't be lifting the same kind of weights as doing the same workouts as a 25, 26-year-old.
Well, that's kind of relative.
You don't think so?
Well, let's put it this way. You're very right in spotting that you're probably meaning someone like me would be able to relate about weight training, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I know of guys who are 14, 15-year-olds, and they are really pulling heavy. With the right coaches and the right training, they're pulling heavy, mate. There are those. There are 16-year-olds that can squat, say 140, 150, mate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there science or any like theory behind whether it can stunt the athlete's
I don't
growth
think
or
so.
burnout or stuff like that?
No, not really. Not
Okay.
really.
Okay.
I think that's kind of, it's a myth, that has been in existence for years, but recently debunked. Actually, no, it doesn't do that.
Okay.
And actually, you don't start like 11, 12, maybe 13, 14 would be ideal to start.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that they have to go so slow and they can't go that heavy. They actually can. It's surprisingly so. Some of these kids can go really, really heavy.
Okay.
Anyway, coming back to the point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to just deviate.
No.
I just had to pick up on what you
Good
said.
to hear your perspective. Yeah.
This guy, you were saying, we're training these guys as if they were adults. So when you went to Hua Chong at 13, 14, you actually made a decision to leave for RI based on the sport alone and not because of academics or anything else?
Oh, academic-wise, I think Hwa Chong and Raffles, they're on the same kind of playing field. You're not really
Really?
you're not really downgrading yourself by going from one to the other.
Yeah, definitely not a downgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
My point
largely it was sports.
Largely that was my
sports.
point.
So okay, to give a very simple example, when I was in secondary 1 or 2, we could train up to twice a day, 5 or 6 days a week.
Right.
As 13, 14-year-old kids.
Right.
And that combined with the school demands academically and stuff, and the mileage you're doing, your target, the coach is making you run anywhere from 140 to 160 kilometers a week if you really attend every session.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so that's too much for a 13, 14-year-old runner.
That, dude, are you kidding me? Okay, I got to backtrack a little bit. Secondary 1, you started going into marathons or training as a marathoner.
Well, I didn't attend half the training sessions, so I wasn't subjecting myself to all that. But
Right.
we are in the CCA to do track and field and cross country, so you're training for at most 5-kilometer distances.
Right.
But I'm saying that the kind of mileage that the kids were doing back in the day was quite heavy, and it would
Your
resemble.
CCA was for as a marathon.
No, there's no CCA for marathon.
Exactly. That's the reason why I'm curious. So this is basically track still.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cross country. if you will.
Cross country. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, now if I were to give my feedback on the program, I would say that it's not something that should be 13, 14-year-old kids shouldn't be training like full-fledged marathon.
Do you still hold
runners.
true to that opinion today?
Yeah, of course. It kills the kids' development.
Right.
It kills their interest in the sport. It can lead to early burnout. None of the teammates I was training with back in the day, they're still competing today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went over to RI.
Yeah.
And
And
then-
at least the injuries and all that kind of stuff as well. You overdo it. If I went to RI, we were training 4 times a week.
Okay.
But when it came to national schools, very similar results. When I was in secondary 3, we lost to Hwa Chong by 1 point. And when I was in secondary 4 in RI, we won the whole national schools championships.
Yeah.
And we were training 4 times a week.
Life's not fair when you come up against RI. I mean, not to mention rugby as well, right?
It was kind of a right place, right time as well. Because in cross country, you need 4 guys to score.
Yeah.
And RI had 3 guys who were capable of placing top 15, top 10 in national schools, but they didn't have that 4th member that could really help the team place high. So they were also very keen when I was talking to them, and my parents were kind of.
So they
leading
jumped
that
at the opportunity as well. Then.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay.
So then, so then I kind of like was the final piece in the jigsaw, which is why we were able to win in secondary 4. Yeah.
Okay. And then what happened after RI?
I went over to Raffles Junior College.
Okay,
Yeah,
stayed within the Raffles family.
Yeah, so I think that's where I met the coach that probably until today has had the greatest impact on my entire running career, and his coach Stephen Quack. He's a very strict coach. You know, he remains the only coach today that is so on the ball when it comes to recovery and like calling up the students like after training to remind them of the importance of like hydrating well, like eating right.
So
and
basically
resting,
recovery after training.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like going, because in put it this way, like we don't have very good sleeping habits in Singapore. Like I think a lot of Singaporeans are sleep deprived. Especially in school. You're so busy, right? Such long hours and a lot of homework. So if you waste time here and there, like you spend 1-2 hours like playing video games or hanging out, you go back, the 1-2 hours that you could have spent doing your work, now you have to spend it. So that means 1-2 hours less to sleep. And then I remember like in JC, many of the junior college kids are not getting. They're getting less than 6-7 hours of sleep.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, and then you're going to school the next day like
that's bad.
Zombie-ish and having to like the whole day.
I mean, that is your time, man. I mean, my son is doing he's in P6 this year. Okay. And he's very much into his sport. He's not in track for sure, but he's a big kid.
Okay.
He's about my height. He's 11, not 12 yet.
What's he doing
for bigger shoes? Shot put. He's a thrower.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say he sounds like he would have the frame to be a good thrower.
He's gonna be far bigger than me. Yeah, he will be. And I look at him and I look at his commitment, and he's committed. He really is committed to the sport, to the CCA, the training days.
Nice.
Committed to his tuitions and committed to his remedials and committed to his homework and all that. My goodness, I tell you, we fight so hard just to make sure he gets his sleep. And you're very right. As a matter of fact, even at a primary school level today, it's already a challenge. Not mentioning just about JC kids as well. I mean, my God, it's I think it's gonna get worse. Yeah, and it is getting worse.
Yeah, I mean the way I observe it, every year, a lot of ministries have new policies, right? So I mean, I guess when you're in the government and you're paid the salary to do something, you have to come up with stuff to do.
Well, they did say, to be fair, that they're trying to get parents to stop tuition for their kids, but that's going to be something so difficult to achieve.
But coming up with programs is not going to stop parents from sending their kids for tuition, because it's such a competitive environment that if you're not going for tuition, chances are you might lose out to some kids who's going for tuition.
Yeah, right. So Rui Yong, to our JC, and at that point, did you start marathoning yet?
Actually, I didn't start. I didn't start running my first marathon or training for my first marathon till 2014. This was this was when I was 23. Yeah.
Oh, so you actually started later. But all this was cross country before that.
Cross country and track. Yeah. So I mean, I'm a big believer in building up interest and your ability in the sport at the shorter distances, like 1500, like 1005, 10k, 5k,
right,
and gradually working your way up to longer distances, because marathon training is not easy on the body. It's really,
you don't say.
Really long hours and a lot of pounding on the joints.
So then why do you want to do it? I mean, why did you even embark on marathons?
I think I always observed that my body responded to longer distances, and I always raced well. Like even when I was specializing in the 5k, when I went to race a 10k, like comparatively in the 10k, I would run something that's a better performance than what I would manage in the 5k. I was even specializing on it. And then when I ran the half marathon, I would also do well in the half marathon. So I always had that ability to run well at the longer distances.
Okay.
So I think if that's your talent, then you end up like gravitating towards the marathon sooner or later. A big like catalyst for me going to the marathon as early as I did was that in 2015 Singapore was hosting the Southeast Asian Games.
Right.
And looking at the competition in every event, there's 5K, 10K, and a marathon. I just felt that in 5K and 10K, the best case scenario was that I win a bronze medal, because I knew that there were two guys who were like
really fast.
Yeah, who were
That's
like
speed,
a class above like everybody else.
Right.
But when it came to the marathon, it's such a long event, and in our kind of like hot and humid weather, it's very unpredictable.
Yeah.
So even though I knew that there were guys who on paper were better, I knew that if I race smart in the marathon, be conservative and stuff, there was a chance of scoring an upset, and much better chance of scoring an upset in an unpredictable 42K race than the 5 and 10K, where less things can go wrong.
So it's a very strategic kind of sport. Huh?
Yeah, it was a very strategic choice to go into the marathon, number one, and number two.
I mean, the run itself, the marathon itself is very strategic, isn't it? I mean, like you said, I got to be conservative at the start, and then maybe, catch them out later on.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it's a very strategic sport.
Yeah.
But, I just cannot understand, why the hell would anyone want to run 42 clicks so often, man? I mean...
Well, I don't run 42 click very often, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. I only do it in the race. Like even in training, I rarely touch like 42 kilometers.
And what do you do normally on average? The distance?
Average. Well, like easy days like today, I might go out and run just like 10 to 12 kilometers. Yesterday I did cover 30 over like 2 training sessions. But so it just kind of depends on the day, whether it's a recovery day or a hard day or a long run.
You know something, man? Whenever I see someone, I have a friend of mine, this crazy guy that would go 24 clicks, 40 over clicks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he doesn't compete or anything like that. He loves doing it. And he's just about 2 or 3 years younger than I am.
Okay.
And I always look at him and I go, when I just look at you, I get fucking tired. Just looking at you. I mean, running at me, mate. Oh, no effing way.
I'm sure you have to do a bit of cardio, right, in the past.
Well, that's a story for another day. Of course I did, but I just discovered that it doesn't work for me, mate. What really works for me is to go for my heavy stuff.
Okay.
And it really works a lot better for me. I don't know, maybe it's the way I'm made. Which is where I'm going to come to this point. It looks to me that, marathoners are born marathoners.
I don't know how much I agree with that statement. I do know that, there are 3 body types, right? There's exomorph, endomorph,
yeah. And the other one is supposed to be freaking hourglass or something. Yeah. Mesomorph.
Mesomorph. There you go. So I do think that your body type has definitely a big inclination in what sport you're probably gonna have the most success in. The All Blacks, New Zealand rugby, there's a certain body type, right?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna put a skinny guy not gonna make his way to the All Blacks team.
Yeah.
So for marathon running, I would say that if you are born with a leaner, more slender body frame,
right,
you might have a better chance of succeeding in a marathon than someone who is like really big size.
Have you ever gone to do an ultrasound in your heart?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm telling you, mate, your heart is probably larger than most people.
But that's through training. That's through training that makes
that happen, man?
Oh, well, when you train,
really?
Yeah, the heart is a muscle. So the more you train, like you have big muscles in your arms, right?
Yeah, okay,
I mean,
interesting.
it's not like you're born with that kind of.
So you train your heart to grow, it gets stronger and it gets
bigger.
Bigger.
Yeah.
Holy
I
shit.
think the left, more scientifically, the left ventricle of the heart gets bigger, able to transport oxygen, something like that. Yeah.
So this is where I need to know, how did you ever start running for Singapore? How did that happen?
I would say that the first time I represented Singapore in competition was the 2012 World Half Marathon Championships. Okay, and how I ended up representing Singapore there was they used that year's like Army Half Marathon as the trial.
Yeah.
And basically whoever finished the Singaporean that finished that race first would be selected for the World Half Marathon Championship, something like that. So I was That year, the top three in the Army Half Marathon was myself, followed by Ashley Liu, followed by Mok In Ren. So, on the basis of position, and I was selected to go for the World Half Marathon Championships.
How'd that
so that's
pan
pretty
out?
cool. I set a personal best there, so I was very happy about that. But I did feel that I could go a bit faster. And you go there, you're racing against all the Africans, you realize that wow, like that is considered fast. You feel like you're jogging next to them.
But then for the SEA Games, you won 2 gold medals at 2 SEA Games. How'd that feel? Representing your country.
I think very few things in life can top that feeling.
Yeah, I think so too, man.
I just think that when you're training for months for that one big competition, and you know that I'm a big believer that running for your country is an honor, but at the end of the day, you're there to compete to be the best athlete you can be. You happen to be wearing a flag, but you strip that country's flag aside. All athletes are just trying to do the best they can. Yeah, so the country I'm obviously wearing like different country vests, like adds a lot of color to the event, and like adds like narratives and storylines behind it. And obviously, some countries have more history in success in sports than others. So I believe that when I went for my first SEA Games marathon, like Singapore had only won one marathon SEA Games gold medal in like the whole history.
Okay.
On the men's side, so for me to go in and like win another gold medal there was definitely amazing, and then to do so again in the next SEA Games shows that it wasn't just a fluke.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. So
I just want to say this to you on behalf of all Singaporeans, a very big thank you.
Hey, thank you, Chris.
Really, for bringing home 2 golds at the SEA Games for us. I don't know whether people have said this to you before. I don't give a flying fuck, but I've said it, and on behalf of all Singaporeans, thank you so much. Really, I think it's fantastic representing the country. Fantastic to come back home as a champ for Singapore twice. And it's only right that I say thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Really. But this curious, besides getting the gold medal, what do you get? Anything else at all besides the gold medal for winning that?
I would say that the Olympic Council does give a $10,000 like reward from bringing home a gold medal.
Right.
20% of which is mandatory, like deducted and goes to your National Sports Association. So you don't even see the 10,000, like you see 8,000.
I almost said CPF. Okay.
No. That's, yes. Don't give them ideas, huh?
Oops.
Next time it's not going to be 8,000 anymore. But okay, so
20% goes back to the Sports Council.
No, to your
Sorry.
it goes to the National Sports Association. So
Okay.
in my case, it will be Singapore Athletics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So 20% goes back to these guys.
Yeah. So I mean $8,000. It all things considered, like it doesn't. I mean, it's not a big amount, like
Yeah, it's not.
You're training your whole life for
Yeah.
this. It's not gonna be a big amount, like. But at the same time, it's not who is ever positioned to ask for more, ask for less. It is what it is. So that's what we work with, lah.
Yeah.
And that's for gold medal. Silver and bronze get nothing, by the way.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Fucking
So
hell.
so just gold. So like,
So do you think it's worthwhile, man, for anyone to represent the country, and if you come in second or third, silver or bronze, and you get absolutely fuck all? I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, what do you think? Is it worth the while?
I would say that you have to find your reason for doing what you're doing. If you're going to do sports for money, then I would tell you, like, forget it, like, go and do something else. Like you go and you learn how to trade stocks, monitor the investment market. You can make
A hell of a lot more.
you can make many times more, sweating a lot less, right?
So you do it because someone like you do it because for Singapore, because of your love for the country.
I would say that competing at the SEA Games is definitely a duty for your country, because as I mentioned, I run for I run because I enjoy it. I run because it is my career. I'm as of now a professional athlete signed with Under Armour. So what I do is I represent the brand. I compete wearing the brand's stuff from on my body and my feet, and from I try to be a good inspiration to other athletes and kids who might be following the sport, and so that way you can say I'm in marketing, I'm a marketing tool for the company.
So you're a full-time professional marathoner or runner.
I actually only started with Under Armour this year, but as of last year, I was still working. I was working at a media company. I was doing sales, and now I'm still doing sales for the Smart Local. I'm doing it as in a freelance position. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do sell like media ideas, and I work with CPF is actually one of my clients. So we make like comedies for them.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoops again. After all this, 2 gold medals for the country, and yet in 2019. The Singapore National Olympic Council left you out of the National SEA Games team. What happened?
Well, if they never actually released an official specific reason for this, which until today it remains kind of ambiguous, and I think they know that I think they know that they don't really have a lot of basis for this, which is why they don't want to say the exact reason. But if you were to trace back, it would be traced back to 2015 SEA Games when. I had a fellow Singaporean in that race and a teammate by the name of Ashley Liu, who, so it's a whole other story, but so first of all, Singapore athletics, we're notoriously bad at holding road races, so we always have marshallers who are not paying attention, and then runners end up going the wrong way because the route is not clearly marked out.
Okay.
So that happened actually at the 2015 SEA Games itself. So
this is for the SEA Games.
Yeah.
Okay.
At East Coast Park, quite bad, right?
Okay.
So at East Coast, there's a we were supposed to do a U-turn here. The U-turn wasn't clearly marked, and it was kind of dark. I think the race started at 5:30, so we got there maybe 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock in the morning, it wasn't clearly marked.
Okay.
So everyone just kind of, the leading runners kind of ran past.
Okay, past the U-turn.
Past the U-turn.
Okay.
The marshals started shouting for us to turn around. We turned around. I saw that Ashley, who happened to be near the back of the pack at that point.
Okay.
He was at a U-turn point and he started running off, and then we all started running off and chasing him. Race proceeded as per normal. Apart from the missed U-turn, nothing unusual.
Okay.
Eventually, we caught up to Ashley more than 2 kilometers later, and then continued the race, and then that was it.
You said, and I quote, to the media, this is akin to primary school playground politics where kids go, I don't offend you already just because you say something that they don't like.
That was 4 months later when they chose not to put me on the team. Yeah. So I think they weren't happy that I didn't comply with their demands.
Did you read the statement then? I'm sure you've read the statement.
I read the statement,
and the reasons why.
Well, the reason why they gave was his conduct is unbecoming of a national athlete, but you can't just say that and have no specifications as to what, right? But it doesn't take a genius to guess it's linked to the case. What else can it be?
Okay. So this rejection, the SNOC, didn't put you on the list to represent the country for 2019 SEA Games. How did that make you feel, man?
In a sense, I felt that it was to be expected, because I was looking at it from this point of view. I was like, okay, they realize that they have no legal grounds against me. So what else can they do to make me so-called comply with their story?
Right, that's your opinion.
Yeah, with their false story. It's what else can they do to make me comply with their false story? The only power they have over me is don't send me to the SEA Games.
Yeah, but you see, you burned some bridges with this kind of reaction coming from these guys, right? And you said before that you consider winning medals for Singapore at SEA Games to be a national service. So, if representing Singapore is akin to doing that for the country, national service, do you think that your reaction was worth it till now?
So what reaction?
Your reaction to, to the SNOC?
Oh,
what
okay,
you
okay.
said in your statement.
I mean, is it worth it? I would say that it's not matter of whether it's worth it. I think it's the right thing to do. I mean, I'm not gonna lie just so I can go on the national team. That's already not doing things the right way.
Well, let me just
so I-
unequivocally say this to you. You know, it doesn't sound as if you're gonna ever represent Singapore again, right?
I think that decision will lie with the Olympic Council. So that's
I would
not for
just
me
say
to,
this. I would
to
just
comment.
say this.
Yeah.
This feels like a loss for all of us. It feels like a loss for all of us Singaporeans. Yeah. You had a great run.
Yeah, it was. No pun intended, I'm guessing.
Oh, entirely fucking intended. So now, what you mentioned just now, you're still running, you're still, training, right? And what the hell are you training for?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, I train because it's my sport, it's my career.
But you're training for a race.
Yeah. There are many competitions that you can do without
So you go
without the SNOC, put it this way.
Yeah.
So the only competitions where you kind of need that stamp of approval from the Olympic Council to go for is the SEA Games, Asian Games, Commonwealth Games, and the Olympic Games. So in between there are many other like competitions you can do. It can be like track races, it can be world championships, it could be the Boston Marathon.
You going for that
stuff.
one?
Well, at this point of time, I'm trying to see like what races are going to happen this year because of the COVID pandemic, right?
Right.
I'm trying to get my spot in some of these big marathons later in the fall, like in October. Submitted my application, waiting for them to get back to me. So if I get into some of these races, that'll be something interesting to train for. Yeah.
You mentioned when you arrived here to the studio that prior to coming here, you went for some sports physio.
Yeah.
It's just for. Is it a normal thing for you to do, or
Once a week.
Are you nursing an injury?
Thankfully I'm not nursing an injury, but once a week I go for sports physio massage because you train so hard, right? The body is like the muscles are very fatigued, very tight. So going for sports massage once a week actually helps the body recover and helps keep you performing at a higher level.
Damn, I need to do that shit, man.
Yeah. I'll give you the contact right after this.
Please do. I want to go for that thing. So how old are you now?
I am 29, but I will be 30 in August.
Coming 30. How long does a lifespan? Whoops, I'm sorry. Poor Mike. Lifespan for a marathoner. At 30, you mean for footballers, for example, at 32, 33, fuck it, they're going to go on their way out. How about for marathoners?
I think it always depends on how well you take care of your body. I mean, you just mentioned footballers to 32, 33 on the way out, but we have Cristiano Ronaldo at
he's different. That guy's an animal, man. That guy's an animal. Don't compare that guy. he's something else, man. I mean, most footballers, unless you're a goalkeeper, it's 32, 33, you're like going down the hill already. You probably go to MLS to just retire, play football. Whoops. Whoop. Yeah, but but for marathoners, I'm just curious, man. I mean, do people continue running competitively for marathons as they age?
Marathoners actually have quite a nice lifespan into the 30s, even late 30s, because the body doesn't depend so much on explosive power for the marathon, but more of like physical endurance and strategy and things like that, which are things that you can constantly like improve even like going into your 30s. Yeah.
Really?
Well, I think one of my friends is actually the best marathon runner in the world, Kipchoge, who ran the marathon below 2 hours in 2019.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So his official age when he did that, I believe, was 34. But if you look at his facial features, it suggests that he might be a little bit older than that, pushing 40.
Ooh.
And I'm sure that even he himself doesn't know his exact birth date, because in Kenya, when you're born into a village, you don't have a birth certificate. Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
That's so freaking cool, man. I could be 30 today if I was a Kenyan.
I guess we'll never know.
But a lot of us have realized over the past, actually been many years already, running has seemed to become a national hobby. I've always said this. I think Singaporeans are running crazy.
Okay.
A lot of puns here today. Singaporeans are running crazy where running is concerned. I mean, pre-pandemic. You have your Great Eastern Women's Run, you have the Standard Chartered Marathon, right? And people are just crazy going out there and doing all these runs. And I've always been one that would go, what's wrong with you guys? And it's always about that, and everyone forgets about working out to make sure you grow stronger as you get older, but it's always about this.
Yeah.
Sometimes it drives me up the freaking wall. What would your advice be for kids who are looking to go into marathoning on a national level? What would your advice be?
Well, I would say for kids, if you're talking about young kids, don't think so much about the marathon for the time being, but enjoy like cross country, track and field, the shorter distances.
Right.
Like just build up your interest in the sport. You see whether it's even the sport for you. Because if you're not enjoying training for the shorter distances like 1,500, 5K, even 10K, you're not gonna enjoy training for the marathon. It's so much longer. But yeah, I would say as a kid, holistic development is nice. So as far as possible, if you're a parent, like let the kid play different sports, like you play your basketball, your football, run a bit. You want to do taekwondo, go ahead and do some taekwondo. Just let the kid try different things, see what he likes, and in the meantime, he's developing like different physical attributes that would be gained rather than just focusing on one sport. Because you're just running, you're just going.
So be an all-rounder, you mean?
As a kid, try and be an all-rounder and specialize a little bit later in life,
Okay, so find your specialty later.
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you think are the 3 important traits, biologically perhaps and even characteristically, that runners need to have before they can consider a career as a national runner?
Well, I would say running is one of those sports where more important than physically, like mentally, you need to be strong.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to be strong. You cannot give up easily, and you need to know why you're doing it, because you don't have a strong reason for. You're running just for fitness and health. That's one thing. To go into competitive marathon running is really, really not easy. Like if you're doing, like I told you earlier, don't do it for the money. There are many.
There's no money in it.
Yeah, better ways to make money. If you're doing it for your self-satisfaction, then find that reason that keeps you going. Because when you're out there racing a marathon and you're at the 30K mark and everything hurts, that 1 or 2 reasons that you have for doing the sport is what's going to keep you going, and keep that resolve to tahan the pain if you want to.
Yeah, man, tahan the pain, man. Just speaking about that, you mentioned the Army half marathon.
Yeah.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first or second time the Army actually organized it, I was the commentator.
Oh, wow. Okay.
From the very start point,
Okay.
way back, way in, deep into Tuas.
Okay.
Right? Early in the freaking morning, man. And I started commentating on the top of a Land Rover with a timer. And that whole thing that I had to do, non-stop talking, all the way till the end point. And I was talking for hours on end. And, I was freaking tired just doing that. It was a marathon for me, mate. But I marvel at the guys I saw at the start point. And then I see them again at the end point, eventually. And I go, oh my God, how? And it's marvelous, man. I mean, just, guys like you, and how you do this. And plus you were twice SEA Games gold medalist. It's admirable, mate.
Thank you.
Really is. What are your plans for the future?
Well, for this year, it's really a matter of, training is going well at the moment. I'm just trying to find some opportunities to race and, and show myself what I can do. The pandemic era has obviously thrown a lot of question marks into your usual routine. It's a lot harder to find a race that you can go in. The travel is a big headache because if you travel to some places, you have to get quarantined there. You're not going to get quarantined and then do a race. It's very, very hard to. Whereas you can go some places and don't have quarantine, but when you come back, you get quarantined. So it's a lot of factors.
I guess you gotta wait it out.
Yeah. But in the future, I do hope to transit into a career after running. I'm thinking of going back to school at some point and perhaps doing another degree. Actually, when I was in junior college, one of my dreams was to be a lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Would have come in
interesting,
handy,
right?
wouldn't
Yeah, yeah. And if any, but I think at that point of time, like focusing on sports was the main like driving force.
Okay.
So and then speaking to my friends in NUS law, they were like, yeah, if you come to NUS law, you're not gonna be able to do sports. Like it's just too busy here.
Okay.
I think that's right. I don't think NUS law has produced that many like good sportsmen, especially in like distance running.
So what you
over the
gonna
past
do
few
if you're gonna decide to go back and do another degree?
I think I'll probably go back and study law at some point.
Really?
If I'm gonna be serious about this second career thing, yeah. And then I think that it would be nice to transit into something after running.
Well,
like,
I wish you all the best, Rui Yong.
Thank you.
I really do. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Chris.
You've been watching KWC and with my Kopi Kaki, Soh Rui Yong. And again, I gotta tell you, this guy, 2 gold medals from the SEA Games for Singapore, man. If you're watching this right now, give him an applause, okay? We'll see you again for the next episode of KWC. My name is Chris Hansen. Stay safe, stay sane. Bye-bye, everyone.